Alright, so before I get into this review, I want to mention a comment that I got last week that really just like had me thinking regarding Madara as a character. So basically the comment more or less said, what if Madara was a good guy this entire time? Now chapters like 623, 622 seeing the flashback of who he was as a child and that basically he wanted peace. His goals, aspirations was peace as a child. Really reinforced that theory that I've seen and it was just really amazing that if you really even look closely, Madara as a villain has done more for the entire shinobi world than all the Kages because he, with everything he's done, brainwashing these kids into doing his bidding and having them do certain things, he's united the entire shinobi world into one. They're all, together, working together, not bickering amongst each other. And maybe at the end of this war, they can put everything aside because even people like the Tsuchikage Unoki are like realizing the error in their ways of, separation and all that. So I really thought like, wow, what if like this entire time it's been deception on some Code Geass type shit. Let me know what you guys think though. Now regarding this chapter, Naruto 623, I definitely say it was a step up from last week. Last week, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like it didn't really progress too much. We learned a little bit more about the characters, but for the most part, with this particular chapter, I'm starting to understand where Kishimoto is leading. Last chapter and this chapter, well, mainly last chapter was meant to serve as introducing us to the characters and who they truly were as kids, Hashirama and Madara, and just what they were all about, in the past and whatnot. And this particular chapter is reinforcing as well that it's kind of like one of those old classic tales of two people, like pretty much I guess you could say in a way like Romeo and Juliet, as terrible as it sounds. It's even though it's not no romance stuff, but as far as the relationship that they have, both of them are from two different families that hate each other, and they're sneaking away and whatnot. Trying to figure out how can they bring peace to this world, and that's really where I got the vibe from with this particular chapter. It was like they're trying to find peace and whatnot. Now I would say the beginning of the chapter, for the most part, served as giving a little more development and showcasing their relationship more. That's really what it served as, and I'll admit that I was pretty bored in the beginning of the chapter. I was like, oh come on, is anything gonna happen? And then midway is where the story really kicks in, where they basically like trying to set each other up. They follow Hashirama and they follow Madara, and they basically find out whatnot. And both families are trying to set them up so that they could find out where their villages, and so that they could strike. Now, again, like I said, you can clearly see inspirations from old tales of like Romeo and Juliet, and a bunch of different stories are influenced into this particular situation. And it's good that we're not getting just other stuff like I guess you would say like Japanese old tales. We're actually getting something a little bit more different, and I liked it. I thought that towards the middle of the chapter onward, that's where it really started to kick in and provide content that like, okay, I understand now. This is actually pretty interesting, and you can feel for the burden of Madara and Hashirama because see, chapters like 622 and 623, when you combine them, you start to develop okay. This relationship, I understand that this friendship, this bond that they already have formed, that just hanging out with each other. And it's interesting that they were both very perceptive. I think they both secretly knew more or less, or they suspected at the very least, of what clan they were each from. Like when Madara was about to say, I have the Sharingan, he said, I have the Sharingan. So I think they already both, were perceptive enough to understand that they were from each other's village, but they didn't care. And that just goes to show, again, another old lesson that kids sometimes are smarter than adults in certain situations, because if adults will realize, let's just stop the bullshit, stop the bickering, we can join up and make peace, then there wouldn't be no fighting. So I definitely see another good aspect to this chapter with what Kishimoto did. Now that ending, the whole big thing of last chapter was as far as Izuna Uchiha and if he was alive and whatnot. And actually, there was an error in all the scanlations. The official Weekly Shonen Jump said that Madara apparently had 5 brothers. I believe it said he had 5 brothers, and now he's down to just Izuna. And I'm not gonna lie, that last panel, that shit got me super hyped, where you got Madara's father and Hashirama's father showing up for a battle with the little brothers. Is like father and youngest son versus father, youngest son. And that's usually how it is as well. Like Kishimoto has an understanding of real world relationships, because it's usually the little brother, the little sibling that will abide by the parents. And that's just how it is with these situations as well. You got the older brothers that they just like, I don't want to deal with this. I want peace. I don't want to, they have different ideals. But the little brothers is the one that's going to latch onto them. So Kishimoto really has a great way of displaying an understanding of, human relations and just how people are and how humans act by nature. And I think that just this chapter in particular really displayed that. Overall, I got to give it a 3.5 out of 5 because the beginning, although it did serve for relationship development as far as just showing where everything was going and setting everything up, and I understand now what Kishimoto was trying to do, it still kind of felt a little bit slow paced, and we kind of already got most of that last chapter, so I feel like maybe a little bit was unnecessary. But from the middle onward, it really just felt like amazing, like seeing Tajima and Butsuma, the fathers and the little brothers as well, as awesome. Now, I wonder, like, I'd imagine since Madara and Hashirama have this friendship, I can see Tobirama and Izuna having this hatred towards each other because, again, like I said, the little brothers is the one that's gonna obey the father. They're gonna listen to him. They're gonna adopt his ideals because they're not like their older brothers. The older brothers are the ones that are gonna be rebellious. And it really just like, again, like chapters like this really dive into real world situations. It really does. So I definitely see where this is going now. A prediction that I have is since Madara and Hashirama are so tight right now, I can definitely see that Izuna's death, his untimely death at some given point, will play a major factor in the breaking of their relationship because even now we see that they've been sparring on some friendship type thing, on some friendly duels. But once that goes down, and maybe if Hashirama has something to do with it, maybe he could have saved him, maybe somebody from the clan, maybe it was Hashirama's father. Who knows? Well, I'd imagine Hashirama's father will be dead by that particular point. But there will be a time where the paths will cross, and that's where I think the separation with their bond will, commence. Now, will that lead into the whole theory of maybe Madara's good this entire time? Only time will tell, but I definitely say that this chapter definitely was a great setup and just displaying, like, okay, they wanted peace this entire time, and it was actually the families. And, at the end of the day, kids are smarter than adults sometimes, even in, human relations. But let me know what you guys think, first of all. The big thing that, I'll link the guy's comment in the description so you can check it out and tell me what you think about it. But is Madara actually this entire time a good guy? And has he actually done more as far as uniting the villages and uniting the shinobi world than even the Kages? I think, like, if you really give it a thorough look, it actually makes sense. He actually did have the entire world. Yeah, he did it by having Obito do this. He did it by having this one do that. It's an interesting theory. Whether he is or not, it's fine. But I think it's still credible enough to give it a good look. So what do you think? Could Madara possibly be a good guy, judging from his the way he looked at life back then, and maybe he still carried it on till today? And just your overall thoughts of the chapter. How do you feel about Madara and Hashirama's relationship? Again, it does kind of feel like some weird Romeo and Juliet, except without the romance and whatnot. It's just the rivaling families and the two that form a bond. Yeah, but that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you can't wait to see where this is going to go, because I'm not going to lie, I'm hyped to see the freaking ancestor, freaking grandfather, father figures going at it with the little brothers. And, like, I want to see where Tobirama and Izuna's relationship is going to go, how they're going to form. Like I said, I could see them just, like, hating each other or having this really disgust of a rivalry with each other. Not a friendly rivalry, hateful rivalry. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.